Hello YouTube. WC Knives is still standing. Kind of do a after action report on Beryl and how we made out, and some things that lessons learned, if you will, and some advice. We're going to touch on a lot of things here, so it may be a kind of a long video. I'm not sure how I can squeeze all this in here, but anyway, I think it was Monday afternoon. Beryl got to us, and I mean, it started with some rain bands. I live northeast of Houston, and I live in a little town on Sam Rayburn Lake called Etoile, which is about 30 miles east of Lufkin, Texas, on 103. Okay, and so the eye actually went. The remnants of Beryl went over Lufkin, Texas, which is, like I said, 30 miles west of us, so we got the strong side of the, at that time, tropical storm. It had already downgraded from a hurricane, but we were still. I thought, we got the first part of it, and I thought everything was cool and lovely, and then we got the backside of it. The backside of it was a lot worse than the front side. We got a lot of rain. My rain gauge says we got just under 7 inches, with about 6 7/8 of rain. Mosquitoes are bad. So we got a lot of rain, and then the backside of it was when the wind started. There was trees. Somebody explained to me, and I don't know how true it is, but it makes sense, that we had a severe drought a few years ago. And what happened was a lot of the oak trees, the roots, the top roots didn't get any moisture, so they died. And the only ones that survived was the roots down at the very bottom. And so right now they're living on a new root system that is not as strong as the original root system next to the top of the ground. That has died, so there's no support for these oaks. And the least little bit of wind comes along and the ground is saturated because we had all this rain, then the oaks just give away, and especially with the leaves and everything on them, it's just like a sail, and so they topple over. And of course, we had overhead power lines, so we had some massive amounts of power outages, and so there was several wind gusts at 60 that was clocked at the airport in Lufkin, which is, again, 30 miles west of us. And it was a good sustained 20 winds. And thank God none of our trees gave way. But we do have a lot of limbs on the ground that I had to police up and pick up. But through it all, the only major issue that we had was power. We lost power at about 2-3 o'clock Monday, and did not gain power until about 4:30 yesterday. Okay, so we was without power 48-50 hours, something like that. And of course, in this Texas heat, which, thank God, it was the heat index on Tuesday was pretty low because that hurricane sucked all the moisture out of there. I think the high was 88, but very low humidity. And then, but yesterday, it got up pretty warm with the humidity started coming back in, and I don't know, we were pushing mid-90s on heat index, maybe upper 90s. I don't know. I didn't tell, but it was hot. It was hot, folks. So the main issue is trying to keep mom and dad, who live next door to me, mom's in her 80s and dad's in his 90s, keep them comfortable, and make sure that all of the freezers and the refrigerators, because I've got in the shop, I got a fridge freezer and everything in the shop, and in the house I got a chest freezer and refrigerator and upright freezer. We buy meat from a local farmer, so we store a lot of meat. And so keeping all of those frozen. Now, you don't have to keep those things running. They're gonna stay frozen if you don't get into them for an extended period of time. I didn't have to start turning those back on until Tuesday. What's today? Wednesday. So Wednesday, I didn't have to start turning those on until Wednesday and getting those frozen back up. And but we kept checking on them, and so I'm trying to keep in rotation 4 or 5 freezers and refrigerators and things like that, so we didn't have food spoilage, and also air conditioning for mom and dad, and fans and all this other stuff. So I've got Jackeries, I've got Blue Eddies, I've got even one EcoFlow solar generators, but we also have some gas generators. And the plan was that if the solar didn't maintain these solar generators, and the sun is not always in the same place at all times of the year. So best plans is that you need to test your equipment. And the only thing that you can test or really truly test is a year process. So where the sun was coming up last month or 2 months ago is not the same place. And so we have all these trees and shade and all this other stuff. So me running around with solar panels trying to chase the sun is not a fun thing, okay? So I've got a bunch of these little gas generators. I got one for the camper van and things like that. So I decided I was going to charge up a lot of the Jackeries. Now we've got a 3000 Jackery, one of the big ones. And it's great until it goes down. Once it goes down, then it takes a long time for the solar to charge that bad boy up. And also it is such a spike starting up on amps that many of the generators have to be a pretty good sized generator to handle that. So most of my generators wouldn't handle that. So what we had to do was we had to use a lot of those little smaller Jackeries that we could keep them charged a lot easier. So my recommendation is, instead of getting one large Jackery, get you several smaller Jackeries, 1,000 watts or something like that. A 1,500 is probably about as max as I would go. But something small enough that a small generator will keep charged, or at least smaller solar panels that you can take around in the yard pretty easily. That is one lesson learned. Also, the larger the generator, the more fuel you have. We've got a very large generator from my mom's house, and that thing uses about 1 gallon an hour of fuel. So that was not a good. It's good for short burst, just to keep things going until power comes on about every 2 or 3 hours. But for long term, that's not a good solution. So I'm ordering a new generator that has better fuel consumption. It also has a propane valve, but we didn't have a large propane tank. But we're looking into that as well, because in the past 2 months right here where I live, power has been out more than it has in the last 12 years I've lived here. It's just the root system in these large oaks is failing. And like I said at the beginning, it could be because of that drought, and the root system is damaged from that, which makes sense. But anyway, they're causing a lot of problems with power outages. And so my best advice is, whatever your plan is, test it out as often and as many different times of the year as possible. Have contingency plans. So what I ended up doing was using the smaller Jackeries a little bit more, and taking the smaller generators that I have. I have a Win 2000 kW, and I've got a little Harbor Freight Predator. I think it's a 1400 kW that I have for the van, the camper van. And so I use those and just powered up the panel in the house at mom and dad's, and we had some smaller portable air conditioners that I use for that. And a lot of times, one generator could only handle one air conditioner. So plan for that, okay? Because once those compressors kick in, then there's a peak load that hits those things. And those generators, a lot of times, also check if there's a GFI on that generator. Because the large generator that Mom had the receptacle has a GFI on it. And there's only so much that GFI is going to take, okay? So unless you're rigged up for a 30 amp or something to connect into the generator and then plug into your panel somewhere with a transfer switch, then, that's a totally different situation. But if you're going 120 to an outlet in the house and powering the panel, of course, please make sure that your main disconnect is off if you do that. I am not recommending this, folks. I'm just telling you there is a way to do this, okay? Make sure that you don't backfeed the power lines, because people are working on these, and it is very deadly, all right? It is very deadly for you not to have that power switch off, all right? So I am not recommending this. But if you do, then make sure that power switch is off at your main panel, so it's not going back into the lines. It's just staying right there in the panel, okay? So anyway, that GFI kept kicking off. It wouldn't provide power to the panel. So you need to test your equipment and make sure that it's going to do what you plan for it to do, because best laid plans don't always work out. Another thing is, get you a lot of these little portable fans that has the battery backups, okay? So that you can keep those rotated. These hurricanes happen in summer, and it gets hot. I don't care where you're at in the United States. It gets hot, okay? We're a little bit more used to it down here in the South, but again, up north, our 90 and 100 maybe y'all's 85 to 90 because you're used to colder climate. So it's not the temperature, it's what your body is regulated to, okay? So you need to prepare for that. A lot of portable stuff, a lot of battery stuff that you can charge with a generator. Make sure that you have enough gas on hand. I had 3 of those 7-gallon gas cans full. We went through that in no time with that big generator, and it just really wasn't the juice wasn't worth the squeeze, if you will. So it was time to upgrade it. We've had it for years. It's time to get a newer model, something that's a little bit more fuel efficient, and so I've already got one of those on order. And make sure that it's large enough. Like the largest one that I had that would run was that little 2 kW, wasn't large enough. But I went through the house and I turned a lot of things off to get it to do what we needed it to do, and we made it through okay. I mean, we were uncomfortable at times, but it was nothing life-threatening, okay? So there's a difference between discomfort and survival, okay? Survival is, if you don't change your situation immediately, you're going to die. We were never in a survival situation. We had plenty of food. We had adequate ways to maintain our body core temperature, which is a survival issue, and plenty of water. With a lot of these cities, all of your water is pumped to your house through electrical pumps, and if power is down, then you may be out of water. So we have plenty of ways to. I have a well. I have a rain catch system. We were fine for all of that. But you need to plan for this stuff, folks, because a lot of people say, well, it's never going to happen to me. Hey, every area in the world is susceptible to something, whether it be fires, whether it be earthquakes, tornadoes, floods, whatever. Every area in the world is susceptible to some natural disaster. Have a plan. Test that plan. Make sure that plan is going to work. Test it out several times a year to make sure that it's going to work in all situations. Okay? So we're fine. Shop's back up running again. I lost about 3 days. I may lose another day trying to get all this stuff cleaned up. But anyway, we're back operational and back at it. So I hope this kind of after action report is beneficial to you. Don't go by knowledge and think, yeah, that plan's going to work. You need to put that in action and make sure it's going to work. Okay, that is one thing that I learned through this. Did it work? Yeah, the plan worked, but it wasn't as easy because I was constantly moving things. I was constantly carrying things back and forth, and so it was very strenuous to make sure. And of course, I was taking care of 2 houses too, so that was part of it. But another good point is check on the elderly, check on those that have needs, because a lot of times they can't do what needs to be done. So take care of your neighbors. And till the next one, you guys get in the backyard, whittle on a stick, be sure to take a child with you. You get the opportunity, teach a child about all this stuff. Make sure that they're raised to where they have an awareness of what to do when things like this happen. Let me see, I lost my earbud. Make sure that they know how to handle situations like this. Panic is not going to save you. Panic is not going to help you. If you're prepared and have a plan, then you don't have panic at all. That's one thing the military will teach you, is to prepare, practice, and you'll be fine when everybody else is freaking out. Okay? So, there you have it. And that's back to the grindstone. We'll catch you guys again very soon. Bye.